Hey everyone, it's Kayla here from Journey Dog Training. We are out in beautiful Vacaville, California. So we're just outside of the Bay Area, kind of up a little bit towards Sacramento. It's hot, it's sunny, so I am in the shade, so I apologize for any dappling on my face. And we are out in a park today because we are going to be working on recall training and focus building, especially in distracting situations. So if you guys are with me, go ahead and give a like, a comment, and as we're going, of course, always feel free to ask questions. I want this to be interactive. Let me know what's going on. Even if you guys are watching this later, comment. I'm always checking and I will get back to you eventually. If you guys don't hear from me right away, particularly if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and shoot me an email, Kayla, Kayla, at journeydogtraining.com, and I will get back to you. I pinky promise. So now that we're here, let's talk a little bit about recall and focus training. So recall is kind of our shorthand for come when called. It's the dog trainer word for it. So if you guys hear me saying that, that's what I'm talking about. Recall is that like almighty thing that we all want our dogs to be able to do. It's often easy to get sometimes, and really hard to get always. And I'm a little hesitant to say always because even with my dog, who is a breed that is bred for off-leash reliability, he's a border collie. They're known for being incredibly easy to train. They're so much fun to train. That's why I got him. Even Barley, and the fact that he's in the hands of a trainer where he's getting constant training, essentially. We've had a couple instances, especially recently, that he has chosen not to listen to me. And one of the biggest things that I think is important with recall training is trying to view it as, when your dog blows you off, viewing it as a failure of your training and a bit of information letting you know that you need to go back and you need to work on something, rather than getting angry at your dog for blowing you off or angry that your dog is ignoring you. Because often what it is I know I just said your dog is Barley chose to ignore me. And on some level, yeah, that might be true. He might have chosen the environment over me, but that also lets me know that I have done something wrong in my training where I need to continue building my reinforcers. I need to practice more in a similar setting to that to make sure he can listen to me. So what that means is a lot of practice in increasingly distracting scenarios. A lot of people, and I'm sure you guys aren't guilty of this because I never have, will practice recalls occasionally in easy situations, such as in your backyard. We're gonna let that bus go by. Such as in your backyard, inside the house, all that good stuff. And then when you guys get outside, your dog takes after a bunny and you yell, "Rover, come," and your dog ignores you. I'm not gonna say I'm surprised. So the key is figuring out how to tier up those distractions in a way that really sets your dog up for success, where he is being exposed to challenges as he's ready to meet them. So think of it like, a little kid. You're not going to throw a little kid into calculus class when they're still learning to count, or even when they're first learning to multiply. And just because a kid can multiply doesn't mean they're ready for derivatives. Same goes for your dog. Just because your dog can come most of the time off leash while hiking doesn't mean your dog is going to be able to be called off of a squirrel or a bunny or an elk. So just keeping that in mind, and obviously it's hard. Like, okay, I don't have bunnies lying around where I can just practice recalls with bunnies. But I can figure out some other things that are similarly distracting for my dog, like bunnies. So one of the big things that we neglect when we're working on recall training is practicing recall around food. Can you call your dog and he will run past a plate full of bologna in order to come to you? That is a really, really easy thing for you to set up that's going to be extremely challenging for your dog. So you guys will see, like in, competitive obedience of some sort. I'm sure you guys have all seen that really cute video of the golden retriever and the girl calls him and he grabs everything along the way, like he's running down a path strewn with toys and food and stuff, and he chooses to grab every single one of those. So we don't want that, but we do want you guys to set up scenarios like that. That's really challenging for your dog, and it helps you mimic the idea of bunnies or squirrels or elk or whatever it is that you might want to call your dog away from, without you guys going out and trying to find the elk or the bear or whatever, or the skunk, God forbid. but we can set up similarly distracting scenarios. So I'm going to do a little bit of that today, and then I'm also going to show you guys how I start practicing for those more true off-leash scenarios. So before I bore you guys to death, let's get to it. I have a little bit of a bag of tricks here today. The first thing I want to show you guys is this. So this is a very tangled long line. You can buy like official long lines that are made of biothane, which don't burn your hands and is nice and light. I don't use this very often for much other than camping tie-outs. So I actually use, this is just like cord. I bought it at REI, God knows how long ago. It's also my bear hang rope. It works for me. So the reason I have this is I am in a public park right now where it's technically illegal to have Barley off leash. I also, as you guys can see, get the hair out of my face, I'm right next to a road, so you guys are going to see a car go by right there. I'm not going to risk it, you know? Like, I really have a lot of faith in Barley's off-leash skills. We went off-leash hiking for like 6 hours on Saturday. I have a lot of faith in him, and I'm not willing to put his life at risk, and I'm showing you guys how you would go ahead and train this for your dogs who maybe are a little bit less trustworthy than Barley. So I'm just going to use the knotted end as my end because I can't get that knot undone. We're going to flake this out. Deal with a couple knots. And then we're going to tie this to Barley's leash, and we're going to practice having him go out and then come back to me. And I might even do a little bit of what I was telling you guys about, where I'm going to lie out some treats and some other distractions for him to practice recalling past, because again, you can't predict whether or not those squirrels are going to pop up, and who knows, I might get a squirrel to pop up and help us out during this training demo, but you might not be able to always go out and find those squirrels. So setting out that food and practicing recalls around food is a really, really great way to really build your recalls. So I've got my nice long, I don't know how long this thing is, like 40 feet, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie that to Barley's leash. I'm not doing anything really fancy with this. I'm not planning on yanking on it. And you know, if you don't know knots, tie lots. I'm just going to tie a couple overhand knots. I'm not planning on yanking on this, using it for weight bearing, anything crazy, so it doesn't really matter. And now we are attached to Barley. And just for ease of everything, I'm actually going to go ahead and then attach this to my belt so that I have my hands free so I can show you guys more effectively what we are up to. So don't mind me. And now we are attached to Barley, so we can't lose him. Barley is not going to be hit by a car today. So, again, we're in a relatively distracting environment. We are in an urban environment in a big old baseball field. There's people, bikes. I actually don't see any dogs right now, but we've had some walking by on and off. And I have some I and Lovin' You dog treats that were given to me for free by I and Lovin' You a while ago. And we're going to take those and we're going to set them up. And then I actually am rewarding Barley with something really special, which is one of the big things I really like to do for recall is I'm going to use a really high quality treat. And I have some lunch meat in here. So Barley is going to be ignoring this I and Lovin' You jerky, which is pretty good. You know, these are good little treats. But he's getting jerky, which is like, whoa, way better. So, and he can already smell that, of course, because he's a dog. I'm going to get one of these guys ready and just put it next to you guys. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's going to be up by you guys. So, I got some of that. We're going to put that up here. Yes, on some level, I am letting Barley know what there is here and luring him a little bit with it. Whatever. If I'm hiking with him, he's going to know if I've got treats on me. He can smell them. So that's not totally unheard of. And I'm going to do something here that I would prefer if you guys don't do at home. So when I am practicing recalls, like to do this as, you know, you've got the long line set up, you go out to the park and you let your dog go and you call them back intermittently, or you go to the field or whatever. That's ideal. I'm not going to do that because I cannot handle a selfie stick and a gimbal and treats and a microphone and a long line all at once. I just can't do it. So that is what you guys should be doing. I'm going to simulate that here so you guys can see it, where you guys are walking, letting your dog go, calling them back intermittently. And or what you guys can do is you can get a friend or family member to hold your dog, and then you're going to call them back to you. Again, past those distractions. So those are kind of our two options here, but what I'm actually going to do for you guys is I'm going to go put Barley out, set up the treats, and then call him back from there. The reason we tend not to do this is a lot of people have a hard time. They practice this too much and they kind of break their stay, where their dog starts coming back towards them and creeping up towards them, because whenever you practice stay, you also practice recalls. And when I come recalling back to you, I get really awesome treats. So I don't want you guys to break your stays. Do as I say, not as I do. Again, the only reason I'm not demoing, Barley, good boy. Good. 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 So you guys did not get to see that, really, but we just had someone walk behind me that Barley did not like the look of, and we just played a little bit of the look at that game. So you guys got to see the trainer's half of that. You did not get to see what Barley was doing. I was marking with the word good every time he looked at that dude, and then he would look back up at me, fed him a treat, he was able to look at the guy again, and we did that a couple times until he started looking back up at me. Then I was marking and rewarding for that. Whole other video, we've talked about this before, so you guys didn't get to see that. And this actually might be great because he actually looks like he might want to go check that guy out, which would allow him to go out. Anyway, what I was saying is I want you guys to walk with your dog, let your dog go, let your dog range, and call back intermittently. Or set up with a friend where you are having the dog recall past distractions, such as food or toys, in a contrived environment. Again, I can't do that because I just cannot handle a selfie stick and a microphone and treats and a dog all at once. So we still have a couple treats here. I'm going to go ahead and tilt you guys down so you can see more of Barley's angle. You're going to look at my legs. Sorry about that. Whatever. And we're going to practice a little bit of this. So here we go. Tilt you guys down. All right, Barley, come in. All right, and I left that pile of treats. Barley is still attached to me. Barley, come. Good boy! And a big old chunk of bologna. Or whatever mystery meat the stuff is. Good job. We'll practice this a couple more times so you guys can see. And I'm gonna add some of this stuff out now. So Barley is going to have to recall past this, which is a really great example. I'm gonna get down so you guys can see me. Of the fact that your treats don't have to be better than the squirrels. Your relationship and your training has to be better than the squirrels. I'm gonna stop. I'm so overexposed. I'm sorry, guys. So a lot of practice here, guys, is going to make your treats better than the squirrels. I am rewarding Barley with exactly what he's going to be running past. I'm pretty confident it's gonna work because we have a lot of training under our belts, and that's what I want you guys to remember. A lot of times people who are skeptical of positive dog training and off-leash dog training that doesn't involve shock collars say that your treats are never going to be better than X. And what I'm showing you guys here is that my treats can be exactly the same as X, or even probably, I bet I could get him to run past this for crappier treats because our relationship is so good, our training is so good. I have put so much good stuff into that bank account, so to speak, that he's willing to come back to me, even if what he's chasing is technically better. Okay, that makes sense? So we're gonna go do it again. I'm gonna put a big pile of this mystery lunch meat out, and we're gonna have him recall past that. Hopefully it works, otherwise I will be a little embarrassed, but you know, that's the joy of Facebook Live. Barley, come! Leave it! Come! Good boy. All right, so he did grab one of them. The one that was closest to him. That's okay. We're going to just keep practicing with that. I'm not going to show you guys too much more of that because I think that you guys are getting the gist here of basically all we're doing. We're setting up a safe scenario using this tie-out situation, or if you guys have a nice fenced, like high school athletic field or something, you guys can also practice there. Just keep in mind you might, even if it's fenced in, you could still kind of lose your dog for kind of a while. Not like I'm speaking from experience. So just keep that in mind, but set up a nice safe scenario and then practice with increasing distractions. Again, using a combination of things that you can't control, because that is really good practice, such as sketchy dudes that Barley does not like, squirrels, we've got a tree right here, we've got a couple trees over there, we've got a playground over there, we've got cars, God knows what else could show up. So we are kind of practicing in a real world thing, then we are also practicing with more of those contrived setups, using food or toys to really practice distracting your dog and building up the difficulty of those distractions while simultaneously continuing to tell your dog that, hey, even when you come to me, or every time you come to me, I'm going to pay you. So I'm going to tilt you guys up so I don't have to kill my calves being down here. We're going to talk a little bit about what to do when your dog does not come right away. All right, much more comfortable. Also, I don't look like I'm wearing as much of like an Instagram filter on my face now. So what happens when your dog doesn't come the first time? A lot of people want to grab their dog and, no, you have to come right away. Sorry, buddy. Barley's a little sensitive about this sort of thing, so I'm going to give him a little treat because he just looked at me very concerned like. Or at least not rewarding their dog. If you've just spent 20 minutes being so embarrassed at the dog park while your dog just totally blows you off, I still want you guys to reward your dog when you either A, catch your dog by the harness, nice and easy, gentle. I want you to be gentle with your dogs if you catch them. Or your dog finally does decide to come to you. Either way, I want you guys to reward your dog for that. Because I want you guys to remember that you are putting into that bank account, let the bus go by, you are putting more good stuff into that bank account every single time. So even if your dog blew you off, and totally ignored you and had to go catch him at the dog park and you're livid and you're embarrassed and you're late and you're sweaty and blah, 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 your dog doesn't know that. All your dog knows is that, hey, when mom came and grabbed me, she fed me. Maybe I will be easier to grab next time. Your dog isn't thinking about all the fun he had for the last 20 minutes playing with the other dogs. I mean, he probably is. That was probably great. But the important thing is he's learning that when I come back to mom or dad, or when mom or dad catches me, good stuff happens. And we want to keep that, because if you grab your dog or your dog finally comes to you and you try to punish them and you try to say, you come the first time I call, your dog doesn't speak English. And it's probably not going to help. And honestly, even if your dog did speak English, if when I was 16 and I came home late and my parents said, whatever it is my parents said to me when I came home late, did that make me want to come home earlier? Maybe. Kind of. Not really. I mean, mostly it just made me think my parents were overbearing jerks, which they are not. And it didn't really make me want to come home any earlier. I mean, maybe if I was really scared of the threat of something being taken away from me, but you cannot communicate that concept to your dog because your dog doesn't speak English. So don't bother. Just reward your dog, even if your dog didn't come to you the first, second, third, 17th time. When your dog finally does come to you or you catch your dog, reward your dog. Great. That was a long spiel about recalls. We can come back to recalls later, guys. I want everyone to let me know how this goes for them. Send me videos of you practicing with your dogs, and we can do some troubleshooting and talk about leveling up or breaking it down more if you guys need more help. But I want to talk a little bit about building focus and attention. This is a big thing that people, when they watch my videos, I get a lot of comments about wow, your dog just loves watching you. And that's true. Barley, you can't see him, but he's just sitting here staring at me. We have a really good relationship, and a lot of that is not because Barley wants to please me. It's not because he is interested in making me happy, outside of the fact that Barley is interested in the fact that when Barley pays attention to Kayla, good things happen. So, I mean, on some level, sure, maybe he does care about the fact that he makes me happy, but that's just because I'm paying him. He doesn't really care about, like, the esoteric concept of making me happy. So I want you guys to dispel that myth right now. My dog is not a people pleaser. He is not here to please me. He is not a Disney character. He focuses on me, pays attention to me, looks like he adores me because we have a very strong reinforcement history. And what that looks like is when Barley checks in with me, when Barley pays attention to me, I reward him. And that's really kind of it. I know that sounds kind of lame. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about Kathy Sadeo's amazing program? I don't know. System? Maybe? Who knows? Which is called Smart Times 50. So I'm going to show you guys how I reward for check-ins, and then we're going to get to that Smart Times 50 stuff. And Barley does not need to be on a long line for this. So I'm going to show you guys first the option when I do not have treats, and second the option when I do have treats. I am not perfect, and I do not always have treats with me. So when I don't have treats, what do? Praise is not really that much of a motivator for Barley. He gets, he's kind of into happy talk, but not that much. Petting is actually probably aversive for him, meaning he actually would really rather not be pet. So you're not going to see me reaching out to ruffle his fur or pet him or whatever. That's not what he's interested in. So you're not going to see me doing that, but whatever your dog is into, and I want you guys to really think about whether or not your dog is into that, is what you guys can do to reward your dog. Yes, good boy. So, we're gonna tilt the camera down a little bit here just so that you guys can keep seeing us as we move forward. And I'm gonna just walk away and then walk back towards you guys and show you guys how I reward Barley when I don't have treats for checking in with me. Okay, let's go. Good boy. Good. High five. Good boy. All right. So all it is every time Barley looks at me, I mark and reward with an excited voice, and then we keep moving forward. If there was something that Barley really wanted that I could give him, which in this case is really that pile of bologna that's sitting right behind you guys, I would give that to him if I could. So if Barley looks up at me and then kind of starts walking towards a nice bush that he is interested in sniffing or peeing on, I might let him go ahead and do that. If it's something else that's safe for him to go ahead and do, I'm probably going to let him go ahead and do that. But really what I do a lot more of when I am building focus and attention is I use treats. That's how I pay my dog. So this bologna is actually kind of too high value for this sort of training. In my experience, Barley is so interested in it that I actually can't get him to disengage with me, so it doesn't look like much training because he's just sitting there staring. So instead I'm going to grab out this jerky again. I like this jerky. It's really easy to break into tiny pieces. It comes much bigger than I like, but it is very easy to break it into something smaller. Depending on how into food your dog is, you guys might need to level up or down on your treats. I have found Barley is a pretty big chow hound, so anything that is really, really amazing is actually a little hard for us to train with for anything other than like recall, because as soon as he knows I have it, I can't get him to do anything but stare at me and drool or just like kind of frantically throw out behaviors. It's not good. So back up, and what you guys are going to see is we're going to walk away and walk back towards you guys. Every time Barley checks in with me, I am going to mark and then reward with food. And that is really much more effective here, you guys, than using praise. You can use praise on those odd walks where you guys are out and you do not have treats. That's totally fine. We are not all perfect. We don't always have treats with us. But remember that your dog's real paycheck here is the food. So. you guys will see, that looks a lot like loose leash walking. That's because we're walking, and for me, attention looks a lot like loose leash walking. But while I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to continue doing that same focus training. And we're going to talk a little bit about that Smart Times 50 training. And good. Wasn't sure if we were going to get a little bit of barking there. So that Smart Times 50 is Kathy Sadeo's invention, which she talks about in her book, Plenty in Life is Free. And that book is kind of a rebuttal of the idea of nothing in life is free, where taken to its extreme, you basically leave your dog in the crate and don't give the dog literally anything that the dog wants unless the dog does something for you first. And she makes some really good arguments for why she doesn't like that. So Smart Times 50 instead takes the idea of, you're going to give your dog everything that he needs to survive and be reasonably happy for free. So you are not going to demand that your dog sit to go outside, sit before petting, shake before you give him water. I mean, if you take nothing in life is free to its extreme, it's super annoying for the person. I do not want to be doing that. I don't want to have to make Barley do something before I pet him and cuddle with him. That's not why I had a dog. It's not fun for me. And it's a pain in the butt, and it's really easy to forget. It's really easy to screw up. So, that's part of why we don't like that nothing in life is free. Also, Smart Times 50 is a great way to build attention and build skills in your dog. Good. So those Smart Times 50 basically consists of taking 50 pieces of your dog's kibble or treats. I really recommend using kibble and just cutting down on your dog's food. And rewarding your dog whenever your dog does something that you like. I recommend picking out just a couple behaviors. And in this case, because we're talking about building focus and attention, I would recommend that those are focus and attention building behaviors, such as coming and checking in with you on a trail, on a walk, or even in the house, especially if you've got a more aloof dog. Barley is honestly a shadow, so I would not do this with him. He would, if I was rewarding him for staying with me, he would drive me bonkers. But that's a really great way to do it. So you just count out 50 treats. Your job during the course of the day is to give your dog 50 treats for the thing that you see that he likes, or that you like. Hopefully that your dog likes as well. So that's how I'd use Smart Times 50 to build attention. Finally, you guys are seeing kind of what I'm doing here. If you guys are having a really hard time with attention and focus in training, I think there are a couple big things that you might be doing. Your rate of reinforcement might be too low. Essentially, you're going too long in between treats and your dog is getting bored. The task might be too hard, which is generally related to rate of reinforcement. If your task is too hard, you're also likely going to see that rate of reinforcement, kind of number of treats per minute, drop, because what you're asking your dog to do is too hard. Your dog is having a hard time keeping up, so you're not giving as many treats, right? Your training might be boring, or your lessons might be going on for too long. So you guys can see, even with me holding this awesome lunch meat right now, Barley has stepped out of the picture and he's air scenting towards a group of people over there. Because we've been kind of doing nothing for a long time and he's bored. So you can spice up your training sessions, shorten your training sessions, or do a lot of training sessions where literally all you're doing is rewarding your dog for checking in with you, paying attention, and then maybe working on some really easy behaviors. It really kind of depends. So for dogs that are very new to training or fearful or shy or whatever, I really recommend doing a lot of training where all you're doing in your session is rewarding your dog for checking in, for focusing, for looking at you, for orienting towards you, all of that good stuff. If your dog is a little bit more advanced and you guys have a relationship and your dog is still checking out during training sessions, I would reassess a little bit. Generally, it's going to be that your training sessions are too long, or for whatever reason, either because your dog is bored, your dog is disinterested, your treats aren't good enough, or what you're asking is too hard, your rate of reinforcement has ended up falling. So that is how I would build focus. There's a whole bunch of different ideas that I just gave you guys. Again, the big one that I do here that you guys get to see during every week at Training Tuesday is when Barley is checking in with me, I am feeding him. And then when I am ready to do something with him, high five. We're actually not going to reward that because that is not high five. Sit. High five. Good. He's ready, right? So because Barley knows that paying attention to me, especially once a week when I'm talking to my camera for no reason, paying attention to me pays. And that makes him much more attentive in training sessions and just in life. So just for funsies, we're going to go ahead and do one last recall. And then we are going to end it unless anyone has any questions. So I'm going to tie Barley back up. And we're going to see if we can get him to leave that baloney alone this time. Nice piece of bologna, and just toss that out. Barley, come. Leave it. Barley, come. Good boy. Nice job. Yeah. Whole bunch of treats. Bunch in quick succession. I actually think he left that one when I asked him to. This also just, again, it's information. It goes to show that we need to work a little bit more on Barley recalling past really, really tasty food. So that is the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from this, is if you're running into problems, you're getting frustrated, take that as information. That is letting you know that your dog is struggling and there is a gap in your training. Don't get mad at yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat your dog up. Just take a breath and take that as information that something in tomorrow's training session probably needs to change. And if you guys are having a really hard time figuring out what that might be, go ahead and reach out to me. You know where to find me. Again, I'm here on whichever platform you guys are watching me on, or you can email me, Kayla@journeydogtraining.com. Please like, share, comment this video. It really helps other people find us. You guys can subscribe on whatever platform you guys are on. And I really, really appreciate it. And again, other people appreciate it because you're helping them find this really good information. We will see you guys next week. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to see in particular for next week, and we'll make it happen. Okay, cheers.